Hey everyone, it is Mooney with another. I guess we're going to call these spiritual business pep talks. It seems like that's what it's turning into. But this one's all about how to stop hiding and start sharing your spiritual gifts. And this is a vulnerable one because I think a lot of us out there, especially those of us who are kind of wishing and hoping and dreaming and praying, are having this internal struggle of, I want to do this thing, but also I'm a little bit nervous about it. And it's okay. So let's have this kind of empowering moment of honesty because let's think about it. If you're here watching this video, it's probably not on accident. You didn't stumble in here. This is something you've been wanting to do, which is why you clicked on that link. So I want to congratulate you first and foremost for taking that step and being here and sharing your time with me. So I'm going to be, really clear about what a big deal it is that you're even watching this video or listening to this. And let's just review, right? So let's say we know you've got something. It's a gift, a knowing, a practice, an ability, or something that's kind of like, you know, special to you and connected to your spiritual journey or your spiritual path, or it comes from another place, or it's coming through you, or however it happens. But there's a nudge that's going, that's like a calling perhaps that's growing louder as you see things happening around in the world, as you see your own journey unfolding, as you see the people around you struggling with similar things. This kind of call, this nudge is growing louder and louder, and it's asking you to step forward. It's asking you to share what you've experienced or to figure out how you did whatever you did and replicate it so other people can have that experience. All of these validations are around you, but because there's so much stuff happening inside and there's so much fear, dare I say, kind of wrapped up in all of this of what are people going to think and all of those kind of ego based things, you're hiding, right? So instead, you're hiding. And the worst part is, I think, for a lot of us, is we know we're hiding, but then there's so many things that we've stacked on top of us being able to do it that it's easier to just say, oh, well, I have a lot happening. There's things going on, but like, or I'm making progress, or I'm working on it. And that's all fine, right? I think one of the things at the Muniverse we always talk about is at your own pace and on your own schedule. And so I want to be really clear. What you're not going to find in any of my pep talks is like, break it through, like burn boats, blah blah blah. Like I don't operate on that wavelength because it never resonated with me, and I assume that if we're all empathic, spiritual people, that might not resonate with you either. And so this is a way for us to be like gentle with ourselves as we go through the process of figuring this out and determining like, is this what I really want to do, or am I not quite there yet, or does it need to shift a little bit, or do I need to shift a little bit before I'm willing? Remember some of the other videos we talked about, I can link to it in here and refer back to it, is like the difference between being ready and being willing, right? So now we're talking about the fact that part of that being ready loop that we're in is that we're hiding, and we don't even sometimes know that we're hiding, or we don't want to admit that we're hiding. And it's okay to even have like something come up for you right now where you're like, I'm not hiding. And it's okay for you to have that feeling, because this is all kind of processing things out. But just be curious about what your reaction is when I say that. So it can be seen as very kind of accusatory, like you're hiding your gifts, you're hiding your voice, you're hiding your story, and sometimes that can be kind of triggering for a lot of us. So I want you to be able to address this in like a grounded way. So however it is that you react when I say, hey, I think you're hiding, just be curious about it, be patient with yourself, and know that I'm not doing it to disempower you. I'm not doing it to make you feel bad about where you are, make you judge yourself, or any negative thing. I really am just trying to loosen the earth around some of the things that may be causing you to hide. So if we can all agree on that, I think that kind of keeps us in an energetically safe space. And again, I'm always doing this for the higher good of your journey of being able to say, I confronted something really tricky today, or at least I started thinking about it, and some of the energy around it, some of the earth around it is loosening, and I'm able to start processing or lifting some things up out of it and saying, do I need this anymore? Is this serving me? Is this serving my destiny as a spiritual entrepreneur? However you want to put it, right? So let's talk about some of the reasons why we hide. I think this is an important thing to start unpacking as we do this kind of work, right? So it doesn't always look like shrinking away from opportunities or playing small. Sometimes it can take the form of like overthinking. Sometimes it can tell you, hey, yeah, you should take another certification course, another year-long certification course, or you should rebrand, or you need new photos, or you need to pick a better font or different color. And so that part of it, that whole kind of I gotta keep working or tinkering, or I'm still moving things around, or whatever it is, I'm first and foremost very guilty of this, right? So I would never bring anything to the table in a conversation with all of you and like judge you about it, right? So the reason that this comes up is because it's important to me. It's been part of my journey of this obsession of if I can just get the right color and the right font and the right picture and the right branding and the right message, everything's just going to effortlessly happen. And that fantasy, I think, is no longer serving us as empathic people, right? This concept of we can magically turn the dials or pull the levers into the right combination without really knowing, that then it'll be like easy street all the way through. And I don't think that's what should happen, especially as it's part of such a personal journey for us spiritually to say, hey, I'm going to do this thing now. So part of this, I think, comes back to a larger lesson that a lot of spiritual entrepreneurs face these kind of issues. And there's 3 of them that I know of that I've faced and tried to work on. One of them is perfection paralysis, right? Where everything's got to be perfect before I launch it. It's got to look how I want it to look. It's got to sound how I want it to sound. It's got to read the way that I want it to read. And if it doesn't do that way, then I'm not launching it, right? So that's a perfection paralysis cycle. It keeps you stuck because you're like, I can't get out there until it's perfect. But then the secret of all this is that nothing's ever going to be perfect, right? So perfection is not something I think we're destined for here in this human body, in this experience we're having on Earth. So being able to let that go, I think, is a big part of this why am I hiding question, is being able to identify and step away from perfection paralysis. Another big one is imposter syndrome. That's a huge one where it's like, well, who am I to be doing this? Like someone else has more experience, or somebody else's spiritual path has been more difficult than mine, so I shouldn't be able to, say what I need to say because their story is more compelling. That's another kind of form of imposter syndrome that happens. Or I need more certifications, or I haven't done enough readings, or I haven't read enough books, or I haven't this, or I haven't that. Whatever it would be, the way in which we make those things up, that's part of what we are telling ourselves, right? Think about affirmations and mirror work, and think about the process of creating this imposter syndrome and how many layers deep it goes. And it's going to be a little bit of effort to start letting those things go. So, and then the third part of it that happens for a lot of people is this paranoid thought of like, what's going to happen if people find out that I do this? Or what's going to happen if my spiritual friends are mad at me because I'm charging a premium for working with me? Or that if they start judging me because they don't want me to grow outside of the realm of the relationships that we have. And that could be spiritual friends, that could be family, that could be friends, it could be anybody, right? That's a well-known phenomenon that happens. I think in Australia they call it tall poppy syndrome. And that's, like the tall poppy is the one that gets cut down. And it's unfortunate that inside of our community and inside of the work that we want to do as spiritual entrepreneurs, that we bump into this every now and again, because there's this idea that, don't get too big, don't get too successful, don't go so far that we can't keep up with you. And it's valid, right? These paranoid thoughts sometimes, and we can kind of label them as paranoid without judging them, right? Of if this happens, then this is going to happen. Another way to refer to that is superstitious thinking, right? To say, okay, well, because this happened over here, then of course this is going to happen. And being so sure that that's what's going to happen that it keeps you stuck, right? So those are 3 of the big ones. It's perfection paralysis, imposter syndrome, and paranoia. And I talk a lot about those in the trainings as a framing to kind of navigate through the sticky parts of this journey. When you bump into something and you can't quite get around it, it's usually one or more of those little creatures popping up that are keeping you stuck. So let's keep that framing in there too. So let's imagine we're going to go back and talk about, first and foremost, the framing is everything that I'm bringing to these conversations, even if it's challenging or slightly confronting or triggering, in my very best attempts to not do that without reason. This may be one of those times where you are triggered, but it's in order to loosen up some of the things that are keeping you stuck. So full disclosure, I apologize in advance if any of this is triggering, but at the same time, I think it's important conversations we have to have before you go all the way down the road of trying to figure out what you want to do. This is some positive and very powerful self-work that we need to talk about. So bringing that back together to the loop of like why we're hiding, even when we're ready, right? Even when we're willing, sometimes we still hide. And I think it's about not being able to release those 3 things. And there's more, but those are the 3 big ones that pop up. So if any of this sounds familiar, right, and I've been talking a lot about it and trying to just sort of like frame everything so that it's contextually better in the context of what we're talking about, so I'm not just wildly throwing accusations around. But I want you to know, first and foremost, you're not alone, right? This is something that a lot of people, especially a lot of spiritual entrepreneurs and a lot of people who are sensitive, struggle with this. And it's one of the biggest patterns that I see in our community. It's these beautiful souls that are just waiting to be perfect before they allow themselves to be visible. And I want to bring that also to the forefront of nobody's pushing you or forcing you or making you do anything. The energy that you want to think about when you're approaching visibility is I'm allowing people to see me. I'm allowing people to hear me. And it changes the way you feel about this thing that sometimes people are a little bit nervous about. There is a fear of being seen amongst our community, and it ranges all sorts of reasons, but it's there, and I see it a lot. Even with some of the bigger teachers I've worked with, there's a little bit of that there. So it affects all of us as we're doing this in a lot of different ways. So the truth about this is that people out there, the audience that you want to work with, the clients that you want to work with, they're not looking for perfect either. They need you to be human. They need you to be real. They need you to be relatable. Especially now when like AI is taking over everywhere and it's hard to tell what's real and what's not. You creating a video or posting something where you're just having a big messy human moment, punctuated with some awesome spiritual stuff, is usually what people are looking for. And especially the people who are looking for what you have to offer and the ones that you're going to enjoy working with are going to be vibrating on that same wavelength. So they need you to be real. They need you to be human. They need you to be connected. And they need to know that they can relate to you in that way. So being vulnerable, being honest, all of that is tied together in this part of what's keeping us stuck, right? This question of like, why are we hiding? What's keeping us stuck? Let's start to figure out what that is. So I talked about the allowing part of it a second ago too, to say it's not about pushing yourself into the spotlight. It's not about like jumping into the line of whatever it is that's going on. It's a lot more gentle than that. It's allowing. It's allowing this to happen. It's allowing to say, I'm now allowing people to see me and hear my voice, whether it's on social media or on video or on emails or on your website or on a podcast or whatever it is. You're allowing people in. You're welcoming them in to say, yeah, I want to share my story with you. Come check it out. So it's a different energy than like, well, Mooney said that I have to get on camera and start doing things. And I get that complaint a lot because I'm always going to nudge and push you to do that because you learn so much in the process of doing it. Someone could tell you, like I could sit and tell you like, oh, well, you're going to have this and this and this and this are going to happen. Then you're going to feel this way. And then you might bump into this. You might bump into that. And that's helpful in general. But the real way to learn how to do it is to do it, right? Is to make that video, even if you never show it to anybody else, make it and watch it back yourself. That's like a great tool that I use all the time to get over that kind of uncomfortable part of it. It's like, well, I'm just going to see what happens. I'm not aiming for perfection. I'm not worried about, like that I might be an imposter because I know what I'm talking about. I'm an expert in my own life and my own journey. And I'm going to let go of those paranoid thoughts. And I'm going to think to myself, well, what if I do it and everything works out? Right? So it gives you the flexibility to start moving around some of these things that have been keeping you stuck and gives you a little bit of a cheat code on how to get around some of those things that a lot of people are struggling with. So let's bring it back to spirituality and visibility. Visibility as a spiritual practice, right? Visibility is a spiritual practice. And I talk a lot about this too, because visibility is one of the core parts of most of the classes that I teach and most of the trainings that I do, because visibility is like the equivalent name for marketing, for networking, for social media, for all the pieces of your spiritual business that sometimes we as empathic spiritual people don't want to have to gravitate to or don't like the concept of marketing or selling or anything like that. Transforming all of that into visibility and being able to create the opportunity for people to see you is a big part of what makes that work. So I'll ask you this question. What if showing up is a part of your soul's agenda? What if the journey that's been unfolding for you is reaching this critical point where you showing up and allowing yourself to be seen is the next logical step? It's the thing that's going to break you through to a new level of understanding about your own gifts. It's going to teach you a lot about yourself. It's going to introduce you to the world at large so you can see how it reflects back from the people that you're encountering and sharing your story with. So there's so many positives that come from that. And I can't say that it's 100% positive. I want to be balanced and fair. You also will get people who don't like what you have to say. You will also get people who are judging and critical of what you're saying. There's also going to be people that have their own made-up stories and thoughts about what it is that you're doing and if it's right or wrong. And sometimes that gurgles out of them and they want to tell you. And it's really up to you to hold a boundary to say, thanks so much for your feedback, and to let it go and to leave it where it is. Whatever it is that's coming up for them is for them to figure out. You can take it, and I like to joke around this, like any engagement is good engagement. So if you have people praising everything that you're doing, great. If you have people that are criticizing what you're doing, great. It's all algorithmically, if you want to talk about it in the context of how social media works, any interaction is going to be positive in that way. So almost look forward to whatever the interaction is without taking on any of the judgment or the energy of it one way or the other. And we'll talk more about that in more videos. But I want to come back to visibility. It's not about marketing. It's not about sales. It's not about strategy. It's not about any of that. It's about energetic alignment, right? It's about this opportunity for you to say, okay, big swirling vortex that is the internet. I am now going to find a way to enter this space, and I'm going to find a way to get into alignment with what's happening here in a way that makes sense for me, right? I want to be really clear about that, is when you're entering this space, you have to do it at a pace, in a way, in a format, in whatever makes sense for you right now, and then you can grow from there. If you're trying to force yourself to do something that doesn't feel comfortable, you're going to come up with every opportunity in the book to step away from doing it. And again, I know this because guilty, right? I've done it before too. So when you share your work, when you share your story, when you share your truth, what you're doing is you're creating this ripple effect, right? You're building this resonance that's out there, and you're activating connection with people who are waiting for, looking for, searching for, curious about, whatever you want to call it, whatever you have to say. And so as you share more and more, as you go out there and shine your light more and more, the opportunity for people who are looking for that kind of thing are increased because you're out there more, right? And it's on a timeline that's totally separate. They could watch it at 3 o'clock in the morning a year from now, or they could watch it as it's launching live. So it's really not anything you can control in that way, but at least it's there waiting for that perfect moment, for that dark night of the soul, for that challenge that somebody's going through to encounter it and for it to uplift them or transform something for them or encourage them to take another step forward. And so that's sort of what we're doing when we're letting ourselves be seen, when we're allowing that visibility. So it's not about showing off. I think that's another piece of it too. There's a little bit of a, oh, like, don't get too big for your spiritual britches, or, you know, like, don't get a big ego or head about it. It's like, I know that floats around a lot, and it's kind of in the subtext of some of the things that stop us. But this isn't about showing off. This is about showing up and shining, right? Showing up and shining is a big way to kind of transform how we feel about this concept of, like, am I showing off? Am I bragging? Am I, being too full of myself? Absolutely not. It's about showing up and shining your light out into the world. So I want to, again, reform how we feel about some of the things that come up. And think about it this way too. You're showing up for people who need what you do. You're showing up for the version of you that already knows how to lead, right? And you're showing up for your own soul's next chapter. That's what I was saying earlier before. It's like the act of doing this elevates everything that you're doing, and it signals to the universe and to spirit that bring it. Let's do this. I'm willing. Let's do it. And it's an exciting place to be. And I wish I could kind of create a way for you to experience that and know what it feels like. But the only way to do it is to do it. And people look at me like I'm crazy when I say that. But the reality is that is the only way to do it. The reason I know this is because many years ago, as I was filming parts of my course for the first time, and I'd never done anything like that before, I essentially was gifted this opportunity to be locked in a room with a camera and a producer who was going to pull this course out of me, and I had never done anything like it before. And the first few days of doing it were brutal. But something started to click on the third day where I started to understand that I needed to let go of it being perfect. I needed to let go of trying to prove myself and my value to anybody. And I had to stop thinking about what the outcome of this was going to be, right? I had to be in the present moment. That was the only way that I could do it. And once I figured that out, you couldn't shut me up, right? And I'm still experiencing the benefit of that experience, but I would never be able to do this video right now if I hadn't done that. So the opportunity that I want to create for all of you is a reason to prioritize doing this, a reason to focus on this, because at the end of the experience of doing it, you're going to learn so many things. But the fact that you'll be able to sit down in front of a camera and not have to go through all that stuff and weed through all of those reasons why not, so that you can sit down and just let it rip, right? You can let it flow out of you And you can do it out of a place of love and joy and fun and happiness, as opposed to torturing yourself, agonizing over everything you do, what you say, what you look like, all those things, and all those self-judgments that come up. So it's a beautiful place to be. And I feel very grateful that that gift was provided to me from the universe, that I would be able to get that crash course in being able to do this. And I think it was one of the biggest up levels in my experience of being willing to do this, right? Ready, willing, able to do this, was being able to just sit in front of a camera and talk. And talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. So anyway, here's it. Here's what I want to say. This is the thing. I want to give you this gentle nudge to move forward in your visibility journey. So if you've been playing small, or you've been hiding behind any of the fears we talked about, or you're waiting to feel ready, which we know isn't a thing anymore, I want to support you lovingly and gently to challenge that. I want to make sure that you're hearing what I'm saying. I want to lovingly support you in challenging that idea, right? You don't have to go full blast. You don't have to jump in and start becoming like an internet sensation or an influencer or any of the stuff that sometimes we think about what we have to do. But could you take one step today, one brave, empowering step today toward your goal of visibility, of allowing yourself to be seen, right? So could you post the offer even if nobody sees it? Could you tell somebody that you know that you're starting a business? Could you share a story that reflects your truth on social media, or just with another person, or to yourself in the mirror? Could you join a training specifically that would help you unlock even more of these resources? Hint, hint, something here at the Muniverse. But anywhere, really. I'm not concerned with that part. Something that's going to help you move forward in this visibility journey. And that's something that I think absolutely most of us could do, one of those things, today. You could. Now, in your mind, I can see energetically you're coming up with a bunch of reasons why you can't. Oh, I don't like the way my hair looks. I have to get it done. Oh, my office is messy. Oh, it's too loud where I am. Oh, I don't know what to say. Oh, I have stage fright. I don't want to be seen. There's a bunch of different ways in which you could do this. You could even have a camera pointing down and flipping cards and nobody has to see your face. They're just going to hear your voice. You could do it not even say anything. There's so many ways that you could do this. And I want you to start challenging yourself to be creative of how do we use our knowledge of what's stopping us to navigate around the reasons that are rolling through your head right now as I ask you to take this one step, and see what you can do to navigate around them and take that step anyway. For those of you who are hearing me say this and you're like, point me at the camera, I'm ready to go. Good for you. Good for you. And I am excited to see what happens and how much you learn from yourself in the process of doing that. So again, I just want to say this again. It doesn't have to be this big, loud, overwhelming thing, but it just has to be real. It's got to be you. It's got to be an expression of you. You're not mimicking or copying anybody else. You're not trying to create this false persona, because sometimes that's a lot of extra work and you have a lot of things you got to remember. Being yourself is going to be the easiest thing, the easiest choice when you start to create this content and allow yourself to be seen. So I'll keep coming back to this idea that, look, one step at a time, one click at a time, one action at a time, one moment at a time for you to start saying, okay, I'm ready to be seen. I'm willing to be seen. I'm allowing myself to be seen, right? If you can transition through those three thought processes and be able to say to yourself, all right, whatever happens, happens. I'm ready to learn. I want to learn. I'm willing to learn. Learn about myself, learn about what the audience wants, learn about how social media is going to amplify my voice, learn about how it feels to have these messages out there. I think those are all really powerful things that are worth experiencing, in my opinion. So here's your invitation. I have a program. It's called Launch Your Spiritual Business. And it is the course that I'm talking about that I built those many years ago, and it's still just as relevant today. And a lot of what this course is all the mindset work that you need to engage with before you can go ahead and do all the stuff you want to do. So many times I see spiritual entrepreneurs just sort of go for it, right? Without thinking a little bit about, is this aligned with what I want to do? Am I ready to do this? Meaning, have I done the work that I need to in order to feel like, okay, I've processed everything. I understand where I'm at. I'm willing now. I'm transforming my readiness into willingness to take action and allow this to happen. And so you see me using this allow thing. I'm going to keep anchoring that for you, is that this is how I visualize allow. Whenever I'm thinking about something I'm working on and I want people to see it, I'm allowing it. All right, come on, check this out. That's going to be something that I would encourage you to practice. Sometimes it helps me get ready before I'm doing a video. I'll just sit in my chair and I'll like look around and I'll say, all right, let's go. Right? And it's a great way to kind of like make a move in your body, try to like get yourself aligned energetically so that you can get that message out. And again, we're not looking for perfect. We're not looking for anything other than you just being you. And that's what's going to attract people to working with you and wanting to know more about what you have to offer. So Launch Your Spiritual Business is a way that's going to help unlock all of that for you. So before you even start running towards all the technology and running towards the offers and the sales and the marketing and all that stuff, this is cleaning up a lifetime's worth of emotional baggage, of limiting beliefs, of sometimes traumas and fears, and being able to say, all right, I'm gonna level the playing field. I'm gonna take everything that I've experienced and I'm gonna turn it into magic, so that when I step into those other unknown areas, when I start pushing my message out into the world, or sharing my message, or allowing myself to be seen, or however it occurs to you that it happens, that you are doing it from a place of alignment and certainty and confidence. And then that visibility is the piece of it that's just going to be such a joy, because you've got this other stuff cleaned up and ready to go. So think about it that way. I'd love for you to join the program. There's a lot of information available here. If you're listening to the podcast, you can grab it at themuniverse.com. But again, I want to remind you, again, I'm Mooney from the Muniverse. I am here to help you launch your spiritual business and get to where you want to go faster than and easier than you ever thought possible. And I want to make sure I say that, faster and easier than you ever thought possible, because a lot of this can be sped up by working with someone who knows how to do it, a group of people that are on the same path, and this sense of community and this sense of support that you get from those moments of, I'm really struggling right now, and be able to hear that and say that to people who are also doing it and totally understand where you are and can help pick you up and dust you off and keep you moving forward. So that's really what we're trying to do here. And Launch Your Spiritual Business is a great way to navigate through all of the difficult beginning parts of doing this, so that you can do it in an empowered and aligned way. So you don't have to hustle. I want to remind you, you don't have to sell your soul, but you do have to show up, and you have to allow yourself to be seen and heard, and for your message to get out there so that people can find their way back to you and find their way back to themselves. So again, the Muniverse is here to help you make that happen with compassion, with consistency, and a community that sees you. So if you want to join us, check it out. Your light is needed now more than ever. I don't have to remind you that. The world is constantly finding new ways to be a crazy place. And I hope that with you stepping into this new energy and this new chapter of your spiritual journey, that your world starts to make sense. And then the world might start to make a little bit more sense too. Thanks for joining me. Good to see you, and I'll see you all very soon.